Tonight, in this deep dive, we are exploring the quiet, unspoken weight of money in our closest relationships.
Mm-hmm.
The spaces where love, power, and deeply held beliefs intersect, often without us ever saying a word.
Yeah. It's so hidden.
It really is. So, I want you to picture this. You are walking up to your front door. It's been a long day, right?
Yeah.
The air is quiet.
Yeah.
You check the mail. Or perhaps you just glance down at the porch.
Right.
And there it is, a credit card statement you were really hoping to intercept. Or maybe it's a brown, entirely unbranded shipping box.
Oh, I know that box.
Right. You pause. You listen for footsteps inside the house. And then with this quiet, almost like suburban ninja-like precision, you instinctively tuck the box away.
Yeah.
Or you slide that envelope deep into your bag before your partner sees it. And there's this low-grade panic, a tiny spike of adrenaline.
And mixed with an immediate flush of embarrassment, usually.
Exactly. Or think about this one. You are sitting across from your partner at dinner. The restaurant is warm. The conversation has been easy. You're talking about your day.
Just a normal evening.
Just normal. And then the check arrives.
Yeah.
And they make significantly more money than you do. You watch as they smoothly pick it up. Again.
Yeah.
You don't reach for it because you both know the reality of your bank accounts. But inside, you feel this quiet, heavy mix of gratitude and, well, guilt.
It settles right in your chest.
It really does.
Yeah.
And almost immediately, you feel this sudden, silent urge to prove your worth.
Right.
You tell yourself you'll do extra chores tomorrow. You'll organize the garage. You'll make up the difference in physical effort because you just can't make it up in cash.
It's such a heavy, isolating feeling. And when you are in those moments, when you're sliding that unbranded box behind the coats in the closet or smiling tightly at the restaurant, it feels entirely like a personal failing.
Yes, like a character flaw.
Exactly. You sit there thinking that you are the only one holding this quiet tension. You assume you're the only one managing this secret, exhausting ledger in your head.
Right, well, everyone else has it figured out.
Exactly. You think everyone else is simply moving through the world with financial grace. And you are the one secretly struggling to keep the math and the emotions aligned.
It's so true. And it feels like you're carrying this invisible weight. It kind of reminds me of the structural load of a house,
Oh, that's a good way to put it.
Like when you look at a beautifully designed living room, you don't see the massive invisible pressure bearing down on a single internal joist.
Right. The drywall looks perfect.
Exactly. Everything looks fine on the surface. The paint is pristine. But inside the wall, that piece of wood is taking the entire weight of the roof.
Yeah.
You are just managing that pressure silently, day after day, hoping the drywall doesn't crack.
Wow. Yeah, that's exactly what it feels like.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah.
Because we really need to understand what is actually happening in those moments under the pressure. It isn't just about math.
Not at all.
It is about an entire hidden architecture.
Yes. And we are naming this concept relational money scripts.
Relational money scripts.
Right. Specifically, we are looking at how our internal financial beliefs create an unspoken financial power dynamic with the very people we love the most.
I love that we have a name for it.
It helps, right? But to understand this, we have to look at what a money script actually is, because it's the foundation of this entire dynamic.
Okay.
These are deeply ingrained beliefs. They are attitudes about money that we develop over a long period of time, almost always starting in childhood.
Which makes sense. That's where we learn everything.
Exactly. They act as the invisible operating system for how we perceive money, how we interact with it, and what we fundamentally believe it says about our worth as human beings.
So it's deep. It's not just, do I buy a coffee today?
Far from it. Behavioral scientists have identified 4 primary scripts. The first is money avoidance.
Right.
This is the quiet belief that money is somehow negative or corrupting, or perhaps that you simply don't deserve it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. People with this script might unconsciously sabotage their financial success. It's the person who literally looks away from bank statements.
Or feels a profound sense of guilt when they get a promotion.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Because they believe that to be a good person, one must not care about money.
That is so common. What's the second one?
The second is money worship. This is the deeply held conviction that having more money will solve all of your emotional and practical problems.
The if-only mindset.
Right. It's the belief that true happiness, true peace, is always just one pay raise, one windfall, or one bonus away.
That sounds exhausting.
It is. It creates this endless treadmill where the goalpost for contentment is always moving just out of reach.
Yeah, you never actually arise. Okay, so avoidance worship. What's the third?
Then we have money status. This script links your fundamental self-worth directly to your financial success, and crucially, to the things you own.
So keeping up with the Joneses.
Essentially, yes. It is the need to display wealth. But we have to look at the mechanism here because it isn't necessarily out of arrogance.
Really? What is it then?
Often it's born out of a profound, desperate need for validation and approval from others. Right. It isn't always buying a sports car. Sometimes it's buying the right brand of organic milk just to signal to the other parents at the school that you belong to their socioeconomic tribe.
Oh, that hits close to home for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Just trying to show you belong. And the last one.
And finally, money vigilance. This is a cautious, often highly anxious approach to money.
I feel like I know a lot of people like this.
You probably do. It's the person who is a diligent saver, who always has a rainy day fund, but who can never quite enjoy what they have built.
Because they're always worried it's going to vanish.
Exactly. They're constantly scanning the horizon for financial room and believing that security is fragile and could be swept away at any moment.
So that is what this is called, relational money scripts.
Yes.
I have to say, there is something incredibly liberating just in having a name for this. It takes the burden off the individual, you know. It means you are not just being bad with money. You aren't just being secretive or being difficult. You are playing out a recognized behavioral pattern that operates way below your conscious awareness.
And what's fascinating here is what happens when two people collide.
Mm-hmm.
Because no one enters a relationship as a blank slate.
Right. You bring all your baggage.
You bring your script, and your partner brings theirs. When a person with money vigilance marries a person with money status, or when money avoidance meets money worship, it creates a relational money dynamic.
That sounds like a recipe for a lot of silent arguments.
It is, because this isn't just about making a household budget. A budget is just numbers in a column. This is an unspoken contract.
A contract about what?
It's an intricate, silent negotiation about power, about control, and fundamentally about safety.
Wow. So it's never really about the shoes or the organic milk.
Exactly. When the highly vigilant saver gets angry at the status-seeking spender, they aren't actually arguing about a pair of shoes. They are arguing about two completely different maps of reality.
Two different definitions of what it means to be safe in the world.
Yes. Spot on.
Before we look at the science behind this, if you appreciate conversations that explore the human side of our behaviors, we invite you to subscribe to Leone Patterns and leave a comment. It helps us continue building this space for you.
So if we want to look at the psychological mechanics of this, we have to look at the data. And the data tells a story that is profoundly human and honestly vastly more common than we realize.
I love when the data validates the feeling. Who are we looking at?
We're looking at Kristina Nikolova. She's a behavioral data scientist at Northeastern University, and she has been researching a phenomenon known as financial infidelity.
Financial infidelity. That sounds so intense.
It does. Now, a recent bank rate survey revealed that 4 in 10 adults in the U.S. who are married or living with a partner admit to keeping financial secrets from their significant other.
Wait, 4 in 10.
4 in 10.
That is massive. That means if you were sitting in a room with just a handful of couples, statistically, someone is carrying a secret.
Exactly. We're talking about almost a quarter of people holding secret debt. And 18% have a credit card their partner does not even know exists.
18% have a secret card.
Yeah.
But here's where it gets really interesting. Nikolova's research points out that it isn't just the bad things people are hiding, right?
Right.
Because we always assume financial infidelity is hiding a gambling debt or, a shopping addiction or a secret second life.
Sure, that's the stereotype.
But people hide positive behaviors too. They hide secret savings accounts. They stash away emergency funds.
They absolutely do.
And the consumer market doesn't just know this. They actively cater to it. Marketers design their entire shipping logistics around this desire for secrecy.
Oh, they're brown boxes.
Yes. That's exactly why you can order a $500 designer sweater and it won't come in a glossy branded box. It will arrive at your door in a completely unbranded, plain brown cardboard box.
It's wild when you think about it.
They are literally selling you a firewall to protect your relational money script.
They really are. And the lengths people will go to maintain these secrets are extraordinary. It reveals how deep the psychological need is.
Like what? What do people do?
Well, Nikolova found that consumers will actually choose to open an individual credit card with a significantly higher interest rate rather than use a joint credit card with a 0% interest rate.
Wait, seriously?
Seriously, they will willingly incur a literal mathematical financial penalty.
Just to hide it.
They will pay extra money just to keep the paper trail hidden from their partner.
They will pay a premium just to own a secret. So what does this all mean? Why do we do this?
It's a great question.
What is the underlying mechanism that makes a rational person choose a terrible interest rate just to hide a purchase?
Nikolova's research shows that hiding spending lowers relationship satisfaction because it creates what she calls misaligned goals.
Misaligned goals. Okay.
When one partner discovers the secrecy, or even when the secret keeper is just living with the ambient weight of it, there is a fracture in trust.
Right, because you're lying.
But the mechanism of that fracture is important. It isn't just the lie itself. It is that the relationship feels unstable because you are suddenly operating on two completely different financial maps.
Oh, I see.
Imagine trying to navigate a ship where the two captains are looking at completely different charts.
It's a perfect analogy.
One thinks they are heading toward a shared savings goal, and the other is secretly siphoning fuel for a private lifeboat.
Yeah, the partner feels deeply deceived because the shared reality they thought they were building is revealed to be an illusion.
Exactly. But this raises an important question, and the answer Nikolova found is a massive, surprising paradox.
I love a paradox. What is it?
She found that couples where both people are highly prone to financial infidelity, where both of them are hiding receipts, keeping secret accounts, intercepting those brown boxes,
Yeah.
they're actually happier and more satisfied than couples where only one person is keeping secrets.
Hold on. I struggle to accept that.
I know, it sounds counterintuitive.
Isn't that just a mutually assured destruction of trust? How does the data distinguish between an aligned understanding and just two people happily enabling each other's toxic habits?
That's a very fair point.
It sounds like they're just living in a shared delusion that happens to be comfortable.
It is a totally valid pushback, and it forces us to look closely at what trust actually means to different people.
Okay, tell me more.
The data suggests that for these specific couples, transparency isn't their core value. Autonomy is.
Autonomy over transparency. That is so interesting.
Right. In their minds, they aren't maliciously deceiving each other. They are operating under an unspoken mutual agreement that some things are kept strictly private.
Ah, so it's the alignment of their relational money scripts that brings satisfaction.
Exactly. They both agree on the rules of the game, even if the rule is we don't ask about each other's private accounts.
Wow.
When only one person lies, you have a violator and a victim. When both people hide things, they have essentially built a relationship architecture that successfully supports parallel financial lives.
So the satisfaction comes from the alignment of expectations, not the financial transparency itself.
Yes, it's about being on the same page, even if that page is mostly redacted.
Okay, that actually makes sense. If you both agree to the shadow rules, you aren't betraying the contract.
Exactly.
It proves that this is never really about the numbers on the spreadsheet. It is entirely about the feeling of being aligned with your partner, whatever that alignment looks like for you.
That's the core of it.
And if we look at what happens when that alignment truly breaks down, we can turn to the research of Johanna Pietz and her colleagues at Carleton University.
Yes, her work is brilliant.
They wanted to understand the anatomy of financial conflict. They wanted to know, when couples actually fight about money, what are they fighting about at a mechanical level?
Right. What are the actual gears turning in the argument?
Exactly. And they looked at two very different samples to capture the full spectrum of conflict. The first was a massive thematic analysis of over 1,000 social media posts on a relationship advice forum, specifically Reddit.
Reddit. That is a brilliant methodology.
Isn't it? Because it gave them a raw, unfiltered window into severe, highly distressed conflicts.
People are so honest there.
People posting anonymously on the internet, asking for relationship advice, are usually at their absolute wit's end. They are way past the point of polite disagreement.
And through analyzing the language and the core grievances of those raw, anonymous confessions, the researchers found that these severe conflicts almost always plot along two massive, deeply ingrained fault lines.
Two fault lines, what are they?
The first fault line is concerns about fairness.
Fairness.
This is the profound feeling of being underbenefited or overburdened. It is the fight over who pays for the groceries.
Or that slow, toxic resentment that builds when one person earns more, but
Mhm.
the other person is expected to do all the unseen emotional and physical labor of the household.
Exactly. It is a fundamental disagreement over equity.
And the second one.
The second fault line is concerns about responsibility. This is when one partner perceives the other as structurally irresponsible or reckless. It is the chronic anxiety over a partner's impulse spending or their refusal to adhere to a budget.
Or the sudden discovery of secret debt, like we just talked about.
Yes, it is the deep fear that your partner is not a safe person to build a life with.
That is heavy. Then the researchers looked at a second sample, right?
Yes, they moved away from the extreme distress of Reddit. They analyzed 481 married individuals, asking them to recall recent, everyday financial disagreements.
So these were the mundane conflicts, the day-to-day friction.
The normal stuff.
And in this group, they found themes like negotiating relative contributions to a specific bill, dealing with ambient job and income stress, and navigating slightly different core values about saving versus spending on a weekend trip.
And the revelation from comparing these two samples is vital. When Pete and her team looked at the relational outcomes, they found that disagreements sitting at the extreme edges of those fault lines.
The Reddit ones.
Right, fighting over unfair relative contributions on the fairness spectrum
Hmm.
or perceived irresponsibility on the responsibility spectrum, those were linked to the absolute worst relationship outcome.
Those are the tectonic shifts that decay the foundation of a marriage.
Exactly. When you fundamentally believe your partner is unfair or irresponsible, contempt enters the relationship.
But there's a silver lining in that data, too, isn't there? The presence of conflict wasn't inherently a death sentence for the relationship.
Not at all. In fact, couples who argued about mundane expenses, the small, day-to-day budget items like whether to buy a certain brand of coffee or exactly how much to spend on a child's birthday party,
Yeah.
they actually reported higher perceived partner responsiveness and higher overall relationship satisfaction.
Higher satisfaction. Because they are doing the maintenance,
Yes.
discussing the small things, even if it is a frustrating disagreement in the moment, requires active communication. It requires checking in with the other person's map of reality.
It's like constantly calibrating a compass.
Yes, you are constantly making micro adjustments to ensure you are still heading in the same direction. It prevents the massive, silent drift that eventually leads to those extreme Reddit-level conflicts.
Exactly. The mundane arguments are the micro-calibrations that keep you aligned.
It makes complete sense that mundane arguments prevent decay. But what happens when the gap in relative contributions isn't just about chores or a coffee brand, but is hard-coded into the relationship's actual income?
That's where things get really complicated.
Let's look at how these scripts and fault lines actually live in the real world. Assail Romanelli's work looks exactly at this dynamic.
Yes, Romanelli is a couples therapist who offers brilliant clinical insights into the dynamic of what he calls the dollar sign partner versus the $3 sign partner.
The disparity in income.
Right. In almost every relationship, there is a disparity. There is one person who earns significantly more money, the $3 sign partner, and one person who earns less, the $1 sign partner.
Right.
And what's fascinating here is that even if both people fully consciously agreed to this setup from the very beginning.
Like if someone stays home with the kids.
Exactly. Even if it was a loving, strategic choice for one person to step back from their career to raise children, or to pursue a passion project, or to go back to school, a quiet trap often develops over time.
A quiet trap.
The dollar sign partner begins to feel trapped in what can feel like a velvet-lined cage. The financial dependence, even when freely offered, generates a very quiet, very persistent guilt.
Wow.
The money becomes a barrier to true equality.
And because that dollar sign partner feels a lack of power, because they feel small or indebted, they rarely express that frustration by asking for financial control.
No, that feels too aggressive.
Or ungrateful. Instead, they implement what we can call the passive-aggressive tax.
The passive-aggressive tax.
I really want to look at the mechanics of this because it acts almost like a shadow economy within the marriage.
Explain that.
When you lack formal currency, actual income, you try to restore the power balance by minting your own emotional currency.
Oh, that's fascinating.
The dollar sign partner will artificially rebalance the ledger by criticizing the higher earning partner in non-financial areas.
Because they can't criticize the money.
Exactly. They will attack their parenting skills. Say, you are never around for the kids, I do everything here.
Right.
Or they will attack their emotional depth, saying, all you care about is your work, you are emotionally stunted. Or they will pull away from physical intimacy.
Yeah.
That criticism, that emotional distance, is the tax the $3 sign partner is secretly forced to pay for their financial superiority. It is a black market exchange rate for emotional validation.
It is a brilliant way to describe it. It truly is a shadow economy of power. And on the other side of that dynamic, you have the $3 sign partner's burden.
What do they feel?
The higher earner often feels this unformulated ambient pressure to be constantly praised. They feel they are providing the foundational safety for the family, so they expect a steady, unspoken stream of gratitude.
Like they bought immunity from criticism.
Yes. They feel that their financial contribution should insulate them from criticism. And if that higher earning partner actually hates their job,
Oh, man.
if they are suffering under intense corporate stress, the dynamic becomes incredibly toxic.
I can imagine.
They begin to feel like a martyr. They feel they are sacrificing their own happiness, their own mental health, just to pay the bills for a partner who seems ungrateful.
Which leads to resentment.
Deep resentment. And an intense contempt for the dollar sign partner's perceived freedom.
It is deeply sad because both people are just longing to be valued for what they bring to the table. But they are speaking entirely different languages. They are trading in completely different currencies.
Oh, perfectly said.
And these patterns don't just happen in the privacy of romantic partnerships. We pay a massive social cost for our boundaries with friends and family, too. We do. Vivian Cooper, a cognitive behavioral therapist, looks deeply at how this plays out in our wider social lives. We have all been there. You say yes to a destination wedding you absolutely cannot afford.
Oh, the destination wedding.
You agree to back-to-back birthday dinners. You nod and smile when the group wants to split that expensive restaurant bill evenly. Why?
Because you fear invalidation.
Exactly. We walk around carrying this assumption, this incredibly heavy facade, that everyone else around us is doing better financially. We see their curated lives, and we participate in this grand facade of abundance.
We are terrified of being exposed.
We are terrified that if we say, I can't afford this, we will be exposed. We feel that to name our financial reality is to invite rejection from the tribe.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, we see that this fear of rejection is not just a modern urban anxiety born of social media.
It isn't.
No, it is a universal human pattern, deeply and permanently embedded in how we relate to our communities and how we secure our own survival.
Oh, wow. Where do we see this?
We can see this vividly and on a systemic scale in an extensive qualitative study conducted across Timor-Leste.
Timor-Leste, okay.
The researchers looked at diverse municipalities, places like Ocas, Latam, Baucau, the rugged terrain of Bobonaro, and the urban center of Dili.
That's a wide cross-section.
It is. They wanted to understand how profound cultural practices shape family income and expense management in a developing nation context.
And what did they find?
What they found was profound cultural enmeshment. In the rural areas where the terrain is tough and life is deeply traditional, families routinely prioritize collective cultural obligations over their own individual household security.
Over their own security.
Yes. They prioritize practices like barlake, which is a traditional dowry or bride price, and fitosa humane.
Was fitosa humane?
That involves massive mandatory community contributions for cultural events, funerals, and weddings.
And we need to understand the mechanism of how this pooling of resources actually works, because it isn't just tossing a few dollars in a hat.
No, not at all.
Families will pool their most vital resources, contributing livestock, physical cash, and intense manual labor, just to ensure social harmony and to honor these deeply held traditions.
Yes.
And they will do this even if it plunges their own individual household into severe, crippling debt.
It's a huge sacrifice.
The mechanism here is that the social fabric is the only true safety net. They will prioritize the ceremony, the communal display of wealth and respect, over their own individual savings.
Over housing improvements.
Yes, and sometimes even over immediate food security or their children's education.
Yes, and there is a highly specific gender dynamic to this pressure, which shows how these scripts are written into the very fabric of a society.
Oh, tell me about the gender dynamic.
In the Bobonar municipality, for example, the researchers noted clear distinctions between different communities. In the patrilineal Bunak community, men are expected to bear the overwhelming, intense financial pressure of providing the wealth for these cultural events.
So it falls entirely on the men there.
Completely. They are the ones who must navigate the complex social politics to secure the loans. They must provide the livestock. They shoulder the entire burden of the bar leg.
And if they can't,
If a man fails to provide this, the social consequence isn't just embarrassment. It is a profound loss of standing, a loss of face that affects his entire extended family.
wow.
The pressure on the men is immense, dictating their entire relationship with resources.
And what about the women in those regions?
Well, conversely, in the neighboring Kemak community, women have a much more prominent, active role in managing the household finances and savings on a day-to-day basis.
They hold the purse strings?
They hold the purse strings for daily survival, yes. Though the men still remain the final decision makers regarding the massive cultural obligations.
Got it.
But across all these regions, the underlying truth is identical. The community's needs completely supersede the individual's financial growth.
But then when we look at Dili, the urban center, we see this incredible tension unfold.
Oh, yes.
This shift. As people migrate to the city and gain access to modern banking, mobile money apps, and formal individual employment, a new reality clashes with the old.
It creates a huge generational divide.
Exactly. Younger people living in the city want to save for themselves. They want to invest in their own education, maybe start a small business, or build a future that looks different from their parents.
Naturally.
But the cultural script, the expectation from their village, still demands that communal sacrifice. When they get a paycheck, the old software of communal survival tries to run on the new hardware of modern capitalism.
What a great way to put it, old software on new hardware.
They are caught in a brutal tension between what I need for my future and what my community needs from me to prove that I still belong.
And that tension is entirely universal. The context changes, but the human mechanism is exactly the same.
It really is.
Whether you are a young person in Dili trying to balance a modern salary with the traditional expectations of Fedosan Humane, or whether you are sitting in a softly lit restaurant in a western city, staring at a bill you cannot afford, but smiling and handing over your card anyway,
You are navigating the exact same human tension.
the exact same one.
The tension between the cold, hard math of your individual survival and the profound evolutionary need to belong to your community.
Yes.
Which brings us to the most important part of this deep dive. If you are listening to this right now and you recognize yourself in these patterns, if you are the person who feels that spike of panic intercepting the unbranded shipping box,
Or tearing up the receipt in the car.
right, if you are tearing up the receipt in the car before you walk through the front door, if you are the higher earner feeling bitter and martyred about paying the mortgage, or the lower earner feeling that quiet shadow economy guilt,
Listen carefully.
you are not broken. You are not bad with money. This is not a flaw in your character. You are human.
We have to completely reframe how we look at these behaviors. Hiding a receipt or maintaining a secret savings account is rarely about the actual money being spent or saved.
What is it about then?
It is a deeply human, deeply psychological attempt to protect your autonomy in a relationship where you feel powerless.
To carve out a little space.
Exactly. It is a way of carving out a small space, a tiny boundary, that belongs only to you when you feel overwhelmed by the financial power dynamic in your own home.
And giving into a friend's expensive dinner or sacrificing your emergency fund for a family obligation you know you shouldn't pay for isn't a sign of weakness. It isn't a lack of discipline or a failure of willpower.
Not at all. It is an ancient evolutionary drive to maintain social safety. We have to remember that for thousands of years of human history, being separated from the group meant literal danger.
It meant isolation and death.
Exactly. Your brain is wired to fear social rejection as a physical threat.
So when you smile and hand over your credit card for a dinner you can't afford, your nervous system is actively prioritizing the survival of the relationship over the math of the budget.
Yes. Your brain is doing exactly what it evolved to do, keep you safe within the tribe.
This behavior makes complete human sense. It is a sophisticated coping mechanism for emotional pain, for insecurity, and for a profound desire for connection.
It is something to observe with quiet compassion.
It is something to understand. It is not something you can simply fix by downloading a new budgeting app, reading a finance blog, or color-coding a spreadsheet.
Absolutely not, because money is never just about money.
Never. It is always about something more human underneath. It is always about the underlying emotional architecture.
And if we look at the roots of this architecture, we almost always find ourselves looking back at childhood.
It always goes back to childhood.
It really does. A fascinating grounded theory study from the University of Malta explored the emotional echoes of family secrecy in childhood.
Grounded theory, what does that mean?
Grounded theory is a methodology that doesn't start with a hypothesis. It starts with raw human data and builds a theory from the ground up by listening to people's lived experiences. The researchers look deeply at how children process hidden financial struggles or distorted realities.
And what do they find?
They documented incredibly moving cases. Take Lisa, for example.
Okay, tell me about Lisa.
Lisa grew up in a home filled with secrecy and a distorted reality involving hidden financial struggles and her parents' marital discord. She would notice the hushed whispers, the sudden disappearance of a car that was supposedly at the shop.
Oh, the cognitive dissonance of that.
Exactly. The cognitive dissonance of being told everything is fine when your nervous system knows it isn't. She learned early on that challenging the lies or asking direct questions about money led to her being distrusted or labeled a problem child.
So her money script becomes completely intertwined with the lack of trust in her own perception of reality.
Precisely. Or consider Adam.
What happened to Adam?
He grew up with relative stability, a seemingly normal middle-class existence. But his understanding of his family and his place in the world was completely shattered in young adulthood by the revelation of a dark secret regarding an inheritance that had been hidden for decades.
Wow.
The financial secret rewrote his entire family history.
That is so destabilizing.
And then there is Emma, who grew up actively protecting her family's reputation amidst secrets of infidelity and total financial chaos.
Oh, she became the protector.
She became the emotional manager of her parents' debts. As an adult, when Emma reflected on her childhood in the study, she expressed profound sorrow. She said she felt sorry for herself as a little girl, a child who knew so much about the crushing weight of the adult world before she was ever allowed to just be a kid.
That breaks my heart.
Children who grow up in homes where money is a source of silent tension, where reality cannot be trusted, carry that immense weight into adulthood. They internalize the burden.
They learn that money is a source of profound shame, and that love often requires a painful, heavy silence. And that brings us back to Assail Romanelli, who points out a truth that I think ties this entire conversation together. Money is permanently connected to longing.
Yes, it is.
When you and your partner are fighting about a budget or a credit card bill or the cost of a vacation, you are almost never fighting about numbers.
Oh.
You are fighting for a sense of safety. You are longing for power, for comfort, for respect, for agency in your own life.
Yes, every single financial disagreement at its core is actually a human plea.
When we argue about the grocery bill, we are actually asking, do you see me? Do you value my contribution to this life we are building, even if it isn't monetary?
Am I safe with you?
If everything falls apart, we'll still be here.
And until we can hear that underlying plea, until we can look past the math and see the longing, the arguments about the spreadsheet will never resolve the tension. We will just keep having the same fight over and over because we are trying to solve an emotional deficit with financial logic.
So let's take a breath and look back at the journey we have taken tonight.
It's been quite a journey.
We started with the hidden receipts, the brown boxes slipped into closets, the quiet guilt over who picks up the check at the restaurant. We named the invisible scripts that drive us, the avoidance, the worship, the status, the vigilance.
We looked at the science of financial infidelity and saw that the pain comes from misaligned goals, from operating on different maps of reality, not just the spending itself.
We looked at the extreme fault lines of fairness and responsibility that fracture marriages when contempt sets in.
We saw the velvet cage of the lower-earning partner and the shadow economy of the passive-aggressive tax.
We recognize our own social anxieties mirrored in the deep cultural enmeshment of Timor-Leste, where the profound need to belong requires intense, sometimes crippling sacrifice.
And we traced it all back to the longing of our childhoods, the need to be seen, to be valued, to be safe.
The next time you feel that familiar knot in your stomach,
Whether you are looking at a purchase on your phone, opening a bill, or sitting across the table at someone you deeply love,
ask yourself a quiet question. Are you trying to manage your bank account right now? Or are you trying to manage your worth in someone else's eyes?
that's the real question.
If this conversation felt true for you, if something in here landed, we would love for you to subscribe to Leone Patterns so you never miss what we explore next. Leave a comment and tell us, what did this bring up for you? We read every single one.
We really do.
We are building a community here. People who think about money differently, not as a number to chase, but as a human experience to understand.
Exactly.
You are not alone in this.
Yeah.
And we are genuinely glad you are here at Leone Patterns. Same pace, same questions. See you then.